Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Shelbyville Now Conversations. Today with me, I have Mr. Jeremy Thompson, candidate for U.S. Congress, headed to the House of Representatives, ninth District.
Yes,
that stretched out district.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, how have things been going on the campaign trail?
Hey, we've been working 12 to 14-hour days. We're so excited about this opportunity to serve people, and I think that's the message that's resonating the most is I think when voters evaluate the candidate field, they look at qualifications and experience, but they also look at the person. They say, is this an honest person that's going to be an honest broker in the arena? And are they going to work on my behalf, or do they have self-ambition? Are they going to self-promote or try to get wealthy? And I hope people can understand that that's not what I'm in this for.
Right. I think that message has been clear from the very beginning since you've announced. I didn't know you had announced, and a friend of mine told me about it. And he told me a lot about you, and that's one of the things he said right off the bat. He said he's a real guy. And I think people appreciate that. Let's talk about the voter turnout so far here in Bedford County, and I know other areas in Tennessee. It's been extremely high. What do you think's going on with that?
Well, I think people see what's going on in TV and this rise of this communist infiltration of our country that's probably been a trickle effect for the last 50 to 70 years. And people just have not stood up or stood in the gap. I'll tell you, as an analyst, as an Army intelligence analyst, I've been watching that as a national security threat or an emerging threat for probably the better part of 10 or 15 years now. And I've been ringing those bells in the House and the Senate. And, the weird thing for me is just didn't seem like anybody wanted to pay attention to that conversation.
Yeah, it's kind of like the frog put in boiling water.
Yes.
It starts out real cool and it starts getting hot. It's been like that, it seems. It snuck up on everybody. And now we're starting to see it's in our face now.
It is.
So how do you combat that? Taking a seat in the House, what can you do to curb some of this stuff or keep it in check at least?
Yeah, the first thing we have to do is have somebody that'll go and take the job seriously, get to work on day one and start having those hard conversations with their peers to the left and the right and across the aisle where they can. But we will not move anything in a positive direction for this country until we get us back grounded in the Constitution. And our government's gotten way too big. It's gotten way too complex. And it's hard to manage. And this has been done, I think, mostly by the Democrat Party over the years. The easiest thing to do for a Democrat president or administration to show job growth is to introduce a new government entity or agency where it has to be funded by the billions of dollars by the U.S. taxpayer. So if we wonder why we're $40 trillion in debt, it's probably got something to do with it. And we got to dial it back.
Well, let's talk about that debt for a second. I know there's been calls by many different representatives over the years. We've got to stop spending. We've got to get this debt down. We've got to balance the budget. I mean, from one man, one voice, sitting in the House, what can you do?
Well, I think what we do is we start introducing at least proposals and bill proposals that make sense, that are comprehensive and not muddied. We've got all these omnibus bills now that both sides try to use as a vehicle to put in all this stuff that they never did before because it's going to pass. You can't not pass it in a lot of cases. The NDAA, for example, the National Defense Authorization Act, was never designed to carry transgender reassignment surgery conversations or gun control conversations or any of those things. That's our national defense apparatus. That's our funding apparatus for national defense. And I'm aggravated, I'm disappointed, and I'm sickened that they have bastardized it so badly. And we've got to get that under control.
Yeah. So how do you get that under control? I mean, do you just push back on it as an individual, or you try to rally people?
You absolutely have to build coalitions and teams of your peers. And like I said, I think there's some Democrats still out there, believe it or not, that would bring some common sense conversation, at least to that one, and vote the right way. But the biggest thing is this is a civic responsibility on the people. The people's responsibility is to put people in the United States Congress who are going to have the United States' best interests moving forward in mind when they get there. And we're electing people that have no experience or background whatsoever. And even worse now, we're electing people into those seats that have verbally pledged to work against the United States and for another nation or ideology. It should be immediately disqualification. And in some cases, I would say a deportation. And that may sound extreme, but I think that's what we got to get back to is holding lines of accountability. Nothing changes for the positive until we start holding lines of accountability. And that starts with our children all the way through adolescence.
Yeah. What do you think about foreign countries investing in campaigns in the United States, a foreign country lobbyist coming in. I know that's been a big topic lately.
Yeah, it is.
But give me your take on
Well,
that.
I can tell you that I've been reached out to as a federal candidate, and I knew it was coming.
Sure.
From foreign agencies that want to get involved in funding, and we all need the money to get our name and recognition out there, because people can't vote for you if they don't know your story or who you are. So it is an attractive thing for grassroots candidates like myself, for somebody to reach out in a text message or a phone call or get a referral from another agency. This person wants to throw $5,000, or this agency wants to throw $25,000 at your campaign. You know what? I talked to my wife about it. I talked to some other friends and consultants about it. I said, we're not going to do that. We're going to rely on the people who know us, the people who love us, and they believe that we'll be the right person for the job to engage and donate what they can. If it's $3, $35, or $3,500, which is the max per person, we'll take that, and we'll use it appropriately. But that's what we'll run this campaign on.
Yeah. I think that grassroots movement is stronger, and it lasts longer. Some of the others that you maybe want to throw money through a PAC or whatever could be just a flash.
Yeah.
And I think that those people that are the grassroots are going to be with you 2 years from now when you're sitting there and you need some support or whatever. I think they'll be with you. What are you seeing on the campaign trail other than the what you mentioned earlier about the radical side of things? Are you seeing any other domestic concerns that are brought up to your?
One of the biggest things for right now with our farmers, this is a big agricultural district, farmers all the way around the 9th district. And I'm hearing repeatedly how over-regulated they are, and this moves into small business and industry as well, but it's choking our agriculture industry out. And there's some things that we can do to move the needle pretty quickly, I think, on their behalf. The H-2B thing, I've been attacked on my position on that, but farmers have asked me repeatedly to reform that, streamline it, maybe extend it a little bit. That way they're not having to go through thousands of dollars worth of processes every 9 months. Just to keep the people on the farm and agriculture in forward motion. And if that's a state level or a district level issue, it's got to be a national level issue. So it's something that we really have to address and get out in front of. And I want to be of help to the farmers.
You mentioned farmers. This is great. I understand that you had an encounter with a famous man in overalls.
Yes, sir.
In the last couple of days.
Mr. Sam Davis. Go ahead.
He is like, he's in touch with, he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He really does. Yeah. And it's good to see him come out.
And I don't know if there's a harder worker out there. But
there's probably not.
I've been talking to him periodically over the course of this campaign. I've had so many people reach out to me and say, hey, man, when you get back to Bedford County, you got to go meet with Sam Davis and just hear him out, listen to him talk. I said, I'm eager and excited to do that, but we have been stretched over 15 counties. We've worked every day to try to get as much momentum and name recognition out there as possible. But I finally linked up with him yesterday. We went out and he showed me the farm, introduced me to some of the people that work with him. We actually even had lunch together. And he's a phenomenal man. I think he's carrying a positive message. He doesn't get too dug into one person over another. He's just trying to motivate people to get out and vote and honor their civic responsibility.
Well, I think just by looking at the early voter totals started July 17th, and we're running through this Saturday at noon.
Yes, sir.
We're up. We're like 4th in the state as far as increase.
I
mean, it's a tremendous amount.
I think based on what's going on in the country right now, if we lose the midterms, we lose a large portion of this country. And I think we keep talking about ringing these alarm bells or making a certain issue an emergency. This is an absolute emergency. This is a historic time. This is a spiritual battle. This is no longer political. This is no longer a political battle. This is people standing up to try to fight for and defend good versus evil. We're getting taken over by evil on a daily basis, and somebody's got to stand in the gap.
If anybody's paying attention, they see that.
That's right.
And I've heard so many people say that it's not political now.
I've been asked several times, like, you've got a really good background. You seem really for the people, through my volunteer fire service and a reserve deputy sheriff, things like that. Why would you want to ruin your reputation and name to come into the United States congressional race? And, my repeated answers, I love this country enough to die for it. I love people just in general. I've never woken up at 3:00 in the morning and responded to an emergency and wondered if they were black, white, Hispanic, or other, or if they were Republican or Democrat. When people need help, I've always felt this overwhelming desire to respond. I think our country needs help right now, and I have this overwhelming desire to respond.
You know, I think one of the tools of the other side is to create division. The evil side, that evil side that we're talking about. And I'm not calling out any names or any political party, but there is an evil side. And they always want to, going back to what you said about the color of the person or the ethnic background or the socioeconomic situation, they will always label things and try to get people against one another.
I'll tell you the one thing that I've said repeatedly on this campaign is that we will put God first in everything we do, and nobody wants to talk about that anymore, especially politicians. They seem to hide from it. They don't want that God conversation because it brings a lot of heat, man. If you want people to come at you online, tell them you're a Christian. Tell them you believe in the principles of this nation and that we were founded on the Christian ideology and the Christian platform. You know, I remind people all the time that the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution mentions our Lord and Savior 5 times, and that really riles them up. But if you go behind that and you look at the 13 colonies and the state constitutions, every leadership position in those state constitutions required a profession of faith to the Christian heritage.
Well, I think that's where our history lies. I just hope that we can get back to that.
We have to.
I mean, we've got it printed on our money, for crying out loud. In God we trust.
If we have to die doing it, and I mean that sincerely, we have to get back to it.
Our kids and grandkids deserve that.
That's right.
Well, Jeremy, what would you say to somebody that's sitting right now that hadn't got out and voted? Maybe they hadn't made their mind up about what candidate they're going to flip the switch for. What would you say to them right now?
I would say evaluate all candidates fairly. That's what the political process is for. You know, we live in the freest nation on the planet. We are the beacon of freedom around the world. A couple of things. When we established this country and the Constitution in 1787, when they ratified, a young woman raised her hand and said, Dr. Franklin, do we have a monarchy or do we have a republic? And he said, ma'am, we have a republic if we can keep it. I loved that, right? So then we move forward just several generations, and we have Ronald Reagan, who recognizes the infiltration of Marxist, socialist, communist ideology. And this is before Islam or Sharia was even considered coming to America and being an infiltration. But he said that the United States of America is only one generation away from extinction. And I don't want to see that in my lifetime. And I don't want my kids or my grandkids to see it in theirs. So we have work to do. We have to get back to the Constitution and biblical principle. I truly believe that. And I believe we have to stand on it. The churches have to rise up.
Oh, absolutely.
They have to get back grounded in what they're there for, and get people motivated to vote. But just evaluate us all fairly and see what our qualifications and intent are, and go cast the best vote you can vote for. I'm asking for everyone's vote, obviously,
absolutely,
because I do want to go make a difference.
Well, there was a word that you mentioned earlier that we don't use often enough, and that's the label of republic. We hear it called democracy so many times in the news media, and even I've heard congressmen get up and talk about we've got to protect democracy. And it's a republic.
It's a constitutional republic all day long.
All day long.
It'll never be anything different.
Well, I look forward to seeing you fight for it.
I appreciate it. Well, we're going to fight with everything we have. I've spoken with my family about what a risk this is for myself and each of us, because it is a risk. People are very angry out there. They're very evil, and they do things that are unexpected. But we understood that coming into this, and we're going to take it on with everything we've got.
Well, Jeremy, good luck.
Yes, sir.
Election day is not far away.
A few days away. I think we're 8 days, 9 days.
Well, hopefully we'll have you back on here after you're elected.
Yes, sir.
And we can talk about the path forward from there.
I'm looking forward to it.
Jeremy, thanks a lot.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate you.
Thanks for watching, everybody.